What's up, guys? Episode 21 of the Vision Board Podcast. I'm Tristan Cannell, alongside me, Johnny Stuffgo.
What's up, guys? Episode 21. It's crazy. Time flies. 21. Let's do it.
It's grown a lot,
yeah,
guys.
man. 21's crazy.
Thank you for the continued support, guys. Really appreciate your feedback via email, any of the questions you're sending through, your subscriptions on iTunes and SoundCloud. So a big thank you to our family, friends, colleagues, even the people that don't even know us. If you haven't and you would like to get in touch with us, email us, because we'd love to know who you are, where you're coming from, and just start a little bit of banter online. So
get involved, support the cause, get in touch, sing us a song.
Today, guys, we've got a special guest, Adam Bornstein. He's coming in live from Denver in Colorado. You've probably listened to the John Romaniello episode on episode 19. Adam and John both wrote a bestseller, a New York Times bestseller, only a couple of years ago. So it'll be interesting to see the different perspective between Adam and John as well.
Yeah, two very influential gentlemen in the fitness industry, represent the United States. Very excited about Bornstein and learning from this guy.
Most definitely. He's very knowledgeable. He's been in some very high-profile positions in his life. He's only 33 too, so he's only just getting started.
Men's Health, Live Strong, runs his own CEO company at Born Fitness. Yeah, stoked.
But before that, just a quick shout out to the Organic Trainer and also Jack Rabbit Slim's Barbershop.
Our lovely sponsors who support us and take care of us. The Organic Trainer, www.theorganictrainer.com for all of your exercise, tea, and recovery needs. You can check them out. They got a trainer flask. They got some knowledge on there. You can read a little bit about what the company's about on the website. When you're proceeding to the checkout, use keyword the Vision Board to receive 10% off of all of your purchases. If you're living in the Sydney, Australia area, be sure to check out Jack Rabbit Slim's Barbershop. The best place to get a fade, the best place to trim your beard, the best place to just sit back and kick back in the barber's chair. Be sure to set an appointment up with Dre at Jack Rabbit Slim's Barbershop.
Awesome. Well, Johnny, let's get strapped in. We are going straight to Denver, and here's Adam.
Let's do it.
It makes me wanna creep.
I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul. I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul.
The Vision Board Podcast, hosted by Johnny Stofko and Tristan Cannell.
Well, our special guest today is New York Times best-selling author with his Engineering the Alpha, co-authored with John Romaniello. His profile: he's the former editor-director of Livestrong.com. He's a former fitness editor of Men's Health, while also being an advisor for Arnold Schwarzenegger's website. Not to be outdone, he's featured in New York Times, ESPN, and GQ, while also resuming his current role of CEO at the highly regarded business Born Fitness. We welcome Adam Bornstein. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you for having me, you guys.
No, you're more than welcome, man. What a profile. But like I did mention, you obviously had many highly regarded positions, both at Livestrong and also at Men's Health. What really inspired you to chase the dream, down that entrepreneurial dream now with Born Fitness, man?
I think just realizing that I could take the information that I had learned by working with some pretty great people and try and do more. The beauty of working with, great brands, whether it's a Men's Health or a Livestrong, is that you have the protection of the brand and the reach of that company. The limitation is that sometimes, as in with any job, there are certain things that you want to do that you can't for one reason or another. Maybe it's advertisers, maybe it's that the people around you think your idea is dumb, which it very well might be, or maybe what you want to do goes outside the scope of what your current job is. So I kind of got to that point where I realized there was a lot of things I wanted to do in health and fitness that if I wanted to do it, ultimately I had to do it myself. Yeah. So it was kind of a leap of faith. The movement or the decision to leave Livestrong wasn't an easy one, because it's not like I had a set plan. There was a lot of things that were going kind of behind the scenes with Livestrong that I decided to move in a different direction, and I wasn't necessarily on the same page of what they were going to do, and I just felt that, sometimes you get to that moment where you just have to leap, and I had no business plan, I had nothing, and I was just like, you know what, if I got to lay my chips down, if I got to place my bet on someone, I'm going to place my bet on myself.
Cool, man.
And it went from there, and I can tell you it wasn't easy. The first year, maybe year or two, a lot of mistakes. There are certain things that when you start a company, I had the skills or capabilities to do certain things. I could write, I could publish books, I could create articles, but running a business, creating a business plan, it was one of those things that I don't think I really ever thought out the way I needed to. And it really wasn't until year 2 and then moving into year 3, I tried to limit what I was doing and create a focus and create a structured business plan that would allow me to have success. And that has paid off immensely now moving forward since that point.
Yeah, cool. Adam, in regards to if our listeners don't know who Adam Bornstein is, if they Google you, they'll find various titles: editor, author, CEO, etc. If you're a fitness expert, you're a coach, you help people, all these things. What is the label or title that you carry inside that you feel really says the most about who you are? Of all those names, what would you say if you had to choose?
I like to joke that I'm the man of the people. I am. It's weird, when we live in an age where, in this industry especially, marketing is so important. You have to market yourself in some way, shape, or form. So I think everyone takes what you say or what you do with a grain of salt. But, my mission, my purpose, in all honesty, is to help as many people as possible. I mean, it fuels me. I say that, everyone's got their own special skill or superpower. We all have something. Mine has always been that I just feel like I have a big heart. I can take on the stresses of other people or the frustrations of other people, and they don't stress me out. I am a very, very relaxed person. My wife loves to joke, my resting heart rate is 36 beats per minute. As my doctor says, that's only 36 beats more than like a dead person.
Yeah.
It's like, nothing that stresses me out, and I know that life stresses people out. Fitness and health in particular stress people out. So my job is to create as much free content as possible, and then if people need more, they have the opportunity to pay me. But the idea is that for a lot of people, health and fitness is exclusive. It's the haves versus the have-nots. Some people can either afford to pay for the best fitness coaches, or they can afford to pay for more expensive food, or whatever it might be. And that bothers me, because I don't think that health should be exclusive. I think it should be inclusive. I think living a good life, feeling good, looking good should be something that anyone can accomplish. So my goal over time is always to try and create more free content, do more things. I mean, just on our website, I've spent the last year and a half developing something called the Getting Started Guides, which you can literally go, and we created artificial intelligence where you can put in your starting point, how much experience you can have. You can put in your goal, you can put in your frustration point, and I will create anywhere between 4 and 8 weeks of, education, if you will. It might include workouts if that's what you need help with. It could include lessons. It could include diet plans. And all that's for free, because I just know that there's so much noise now. The internet is the best thing in the world, but it can also be the most frustrating thing in the world, because there's almost too much information, and it's hard to know what to trust and what not to trust. And that's not to say that I have all the answers, but the idea is that I can create as much content as possible, that if you're looking for one place to go, hopefully we'll have answers, and if I don't, I'll point you in the right direction. And that's just kind of the environment I want to establish. Like, at some point you have to run a business, at some point you have to make money, but I don't think having money or paying services should be what it takes for someone to figure out what will work for their body or figure out what they'll do. And that's kind of the mission with Born Fitness, with what I'm doing, and it's everything that kind of motivates me and keeps me going. It is the most rewarding thing. We're in an awesome industry. We get to help people for a living.
I think
that's what it comes down to.
I think it's interesting. Tristan and I both collectively run businesses outside. We see clients one-on-one. And having the holidays pass, it hit me recently. What you were talking about is, some people look at fitness and well-being as being exclusive or not being able to afford it. And when people come back from holidays and they make their checklist of like compartmentalizing their money or where it should go, it always seems that their health and well-being falls a little bit lower on that list, when I feel maybe I think it's up to people, I guess, to educate them, and it should be pretty, in my opinion, it should be the top of the list. But, I
think it's one of those things that, like, you have to choose what you're going to invest in. And if you say something is important to you, what are you doing to back that up? Now, that's not to say that you always have to pay for services, but maybe the payment is your time or your focus or your energy. And it's almost like a mind shift that people need to establish. That someone might say, oh, my health is really important to me. Well, Have you, do you know what you're doing? Have you read anything? Have you gone to the gym? Have you tried to change your diet? How much energy are you putting into this thing that you are saying is so important? Because oftentimes, we're all self-protective. I study psychology. My background is in psychology. It's accountability is a funny thing, in that, we'll oftentimes look to blame outside forces. We make excuses because it protects our ego. It protects our mentality. It keeps us sane. But oftentimes, in order to establish change, we need to have that moment of blunt honesty when we ask ourselves, are we doing everything that we can? Are we even doing the minimum amount that we can? Or are we just saying something is important? Or are we just complaining about something? But the reason we're complaining is pretty obvious, and it's because we're not putting in the effort needed to see a change, or we're not putting in the investment needed to move the needle. Some people can be given workouts and take it from there, and they don't need coaching. They don't need help. Other people need that accountability. Other people need coaching to understand. Other people need a structure of a diet. You can't just give people food lists and say, hey, do whatever you want. They need those things. So if they try to do it on their own and they fail, the question is, do you just throw up your hands and say, I'm a failure? Do you just throw up your hands and say, my body is broken? Or do you actually go through the process of trying every single thing possible to make a change? Because most people, they just quit prematurely. They get to that point where they get so frustrated that they don't want to put in that extra effort. Where the reality is, oftentimes the effort they're putting in is just short, and that's tough. We've all been there. I've definitely been there. I told you about my business. The struggles at the beginning was like I wasn't willing to admit that I didn't know what the hell I was doing in terms of running a business. I could write best-selling books. I could write articles for every magazine under the sun. I could coach people, but stringing that all together, creating a focus, having employees, doing payroll and handling it, I'd never done that before. And there was a part of me was ego, part of me was stubbornness, part of it was stupidness. That I just didn't look at myself and be like, all right, why am I failing? And the moment I did, I went and got help. I hired tax lawyers. I hired regular lawyers. I talked to people and invested in learning from those who ran successful businesses so that I could make the change. And I think that's no different than people with their bodies. Sometimes it's good when you're autonomous and you want to try everything on your own. But if you get to that point where it's not working, you can either quit or you can ask, all right, do I need help? And there should, take the ego out of it and realize that failure, it's a part of everything. We all fail. And it's not about whether you fail or not. It's how you bounce back from that failure.
I think it was Tolkien. He said, in order to see the sun, I'm going to butcher it, in order to see the sunshine, you must go through the darkness, something along those lines. And it's the
even if you butchered it, that's now yours. So you can just be like, this is my quote.
I'll own my words, right? That's the common denominator with people we speak with, authors I read, my favorite writers, is that path of needing to experience the down in order to appreciate and know what it takes to get to that next level. And I think it's a skill that needs to maybe be taught a little more to help people be aware of that. And nothing's easy. You don't just get it where you want to be just given to you. It has to take that sense of suffering. So
definitely. I mean, it's I'm going to sound like a crotchety old man right now, but there's definitely this the age of entitlement. And it comes to, you see commercials making fun of everything where everyone gets a participation trophy. No one has to be last place. It is a huge problem. I'll completely name drop. I remember, I was having dinner at Arnold Schwarzenegger's house one night, and he was saying that, everyone is just basically weak at this point because no one understands, tasting dirt. No one understands failing. He talks about his success and how, a lot of people consider Arnold one of the greatest success of all times. I mean, is there a better story of a man who, basically every goal he set out to achieve, he did? I want to be the best bodybuilder in the world. No, okay, I'll do it. I want to be the biggest actor in the world. Okay, I'll do it. I want to be the governor. Why not? Sure, knock yourself out. But he's talked about, what made him able to do that was that hunger. It was the failure. It was the weaknesses, and looking at those weaknesses, sometimes literally, everyone knows the story, or a lot of people know the story of how Arnold was so upset with his calves that he cut the bottoms off all his pants, so he couldn't ignore his calves. He had to see them all the time. That weakness had to be staring him in the face. People need to fail. It's a part of life, and when you eliminate failure, you give people a reason to think that, I hire people, and when I was at Livestrong, people are coming in, they want ridiculous salaries or ridiculous titles, or when they do a poor job, they can't handle the criticism. I mean, I had one employee who literally had her parents contact me. You were working there being like, you don't, go ahead and tell my daughter that she's not doing a good job. And I'm like, no, yes, I do, because that's how she gets better. I think people take criticism the wrong way. I always say there are two ways to take criticism. You can take it personally, or you can take it as a roadmap to how you become better. Every criticism I've ever gotten, that's line I learned from my mentor. My mentor was Ted Spiker, who's now the chair at the journalism school at the University of Florida. He used to be, an editor at Men's Health. He's published a whole bunch of books. He's one of the kindest people I know, and he prepared me when I went to Men's Health. He let me know, like, you're going to get there, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. They're going to edit the shit out of your work to the point that you feel you know nothing. And there's two types of people. There are people who are going to be broken down by those really tough edits, and they're going to walk away and think that they're not meant to do this. Or the people who are going to take those edits to heart and be like, listen, this is the barrier. You're right here. Do you want to rise up to the occasion? Do you want to step up? Do you want to go through the difficult times to get here? Or do you just want to piss and moan and be like, I can't handle the complaints? And it's tough. No one likes being criticized, especially all the time. I mean, I'd write stuff and it would just come back a big blot of ink or all caps edits. It was just like someone was like yelling at you, which somehow I've now passed down. I edit everything with all caps myself. But, that mentality that criticism is a road to becoming better, criticism is a road to fulfilling or surpassing your potential, is something that I wish I could tell everyone. It's, when you get, what happens when you get punched in the face? I sure as hell hope you don't run away. Yeah. I hope you punch back.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely. Adam, we had your co-author John Romanello on the weekends. He was just let us know how you guys met. Obviously, he used to pester you with emails trying to get you in your magazine.
He did.
Yeah.
He was an email stalker. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of, obviously, fitness professionals out there, and obviously everyone kind of really wants to get in magazines like that. Just from an editor's point of view, former editor's point of view, what's the keys to getting published in the actual fitness industry or getting into those sort of, is there any little tips that you can kind of give the audience out there?
Yeah, I think, I was a unique editor because I remember the time when I wanted to get published initially, and I reached out to everyone and no one would get back to me, and that was just a frustrating reality. John tried to get published forever, and I always kept in touch with him because there are definitely gatekeepers, as there are in any publication. Sometimes you just gotta wait, keep on recommending good ideas. I'd say the two things that are really important is one, and I say this is rule number one for everything, is know your audience. A lot of people will pitch stuff to a magazine that has no business being in that magazine, or the pitch is so long-winded, or it doesn't consider, where, what, who, when, how. If you know you want to be in a certain magazine, you better become really familiar with that magazine and write a pitch letter being like, hey, in this section of your magazine, I saw you recently wrote an article on this. I think a piece that might have similar success is this article, and this is why. Would you be interested in hearing more? Short, concise, to the point, shows that you read the publication, shows that you understand the type of content that went in there, and then you're adapting it to your own idea. So whether it's a 100-word piece or a bigger feature, no one adapts that content. They write the same generic letter to 20 different magazines. Sometimes they screw up the name on there, and I get stuff like, hey, Mike, I'd love to be in Born Fitness. And I'm like, who is Mike? Just take that time, but really cater your pitch, because people don't want to feel like it's some cookie cutter pitch. They want to know that you have catered it to them. And two, be on call. If you're going to open that line of communication and be like, I want to be in this is my goal, whatever it takes, if they then ring your bell, you better be ready to go. The editors or the writers that I've ended up working with the most are the ones that, when I first built that relationship with them, they were clutch. I could, reach out to them and say, hey, you want your chance to get in the magazine? We actually had something that just dropped. I need this tomorrow. Will you come through? And sometimes it's a little cutthroat, but the idea is if you create that relationship, first impressions are so important. And in the publishing industry especially, sometimes, when you're first getting your initial opportunities, it's more about proving your worth. I believe that everyone's got to earn their stripes, earn their keep, cut their teeth, whatever cliche you want to throw in there. Remove the ego from it, because if your work is good enough, you're going to end up getting a lot more assignments, you're going to get paid a lot, and I believe more than anyone, writers deserve to get paid. I champion this cause that I try and get all my writers a lot of money, but sometimes when you're just trying to get your foot in the door, if you don't have any clips or anything, don't worry about the ego, don't worry about getting the payment, worry about proving yourself, because the inevitable value of being able to say, hey, I'm in Men's Health, or I'm in Men's Fitness, or I'm in Muscle and Fitness, or I'm in Shape, Self, whatever it might be, whatever publication you're going for, that's going to pay off. That becomes like your blue chip stock that you're like, it's so hard to get your foot in the door. Why would you put barriers in your way when you don't have anything? When you become more established, definitely know your value, know your worth. I think there's two sides of things. One, you have people with these huge egos, which get in their way of getting their foot in the door. And then the flip side is that, like, once people get their foot in their door, they don't even know their own worth. And they end up doing stuff for free forever, and people take advantage of them. So when you're trying to break into the industry, swallow the ego, improve yourself, once you're there, take pride and take value in what you do, because there is a value to you, to your knowledge, to your IP, to your brain, to your thoughts that, eventually you should be able to put a price on.
Yeah, Adam, you brought up a couple different times about self-worth, self-belief, believing in yourself. It's very evident to me that you do a lot of like improvement skills, personal development. Are you into any specific types of like, do you meditate? Are you doing any type of naturopathic ways of like detaching yourself from everything to make sure that your mind is at its most clear state, so you could maybe think?
My mind meditates every morning first thing. My body meditates in the gym.
Yeah.
That's the way. I mean, we all get that frustration, anger, and I think the easiest thing to do is to take that out on the people closest to you. And it is my personal goal to never take out my anger and frustration on anyone. It happens sometimes. So the mental part of that clarity is the meditation first thing of the day. I meditate first thing of the day, I get done meditating, and then the first thing I do after that is to make a list of goals for the day, because I think a lot of frustration comes from stress of not getting things done. So I believe in the power of focus, and and the power of reinforcement, which means for me, I've got a ton of things I want to get done every day, and I have to have a separate list for that. But my goal is to know that every single day I did the one thing I wanted to accomplish. So I write down that one thing that I need to accomplish. Today, I can even tell you that the one thing I had to accomplish today was I bought my wife a just because card. It was just because I wanted to give her a card, and on my list was make sure I give her that card today. So when she was done taking care of her baby in the morning, I gave her that card. And today, no matter what I get done with work, it's a success. So I got that one thing done, and I think success breeds success, and a lot of times we make our success really difficult. This is what I do with my clients when I coach them. I try to get people to see success, because success is around you every single day, but most time people get done with the day and they're like, oh, how was today's day? Oh, it was busy, it was such a drag, it was so difficult. As opposed to if someone's like, oh, how was today? It's like, I had one thing I really need to get done and I got it done.
Yeah.
That simple mindset shift can make a world of difference. And it happens with business too. It's like when I know there's a lot of stress going on, when there's a lot of stuff going down, I have to get that one thing done with my business, because if I know if I got the main thing done, I can move forward. Maybe I didn't take a giant leap, but I don't believe in bad decisions, because sometimes we make the wrong decision. But I mean, the only bad decision is not making a decision at all. If you stay put, if you get so intimidated that you can't take a step forward, that's the only bad one, because a lot of wrong decisions lead to something right. That's the reality. I mean, there's not like you go down one path and now your whole life is set in front of you. Every step is an opportunity to go and adjust or iterate or continue doing what you're doing if it's going well, but you always got to keep moving. So for me, it's making sure I got that one thing, and no excuses. It might be a bigger project, and hey, for me to finish the day, I cannot go to sleep unless that one thing is done. But it allows me to always feel like I'm making progress, and it just I don't ever get done with the day and not have at least one thing that I can hang my hat on that makes me feel good. And I think that, sometimes we want to feel good. There's enough things in life to stress you up. There's enough things in life to look at the scale and be like, I'm still not where I want to be. Or to look at your business, I'm not making as much money or not having as much clients. But if you can feel good about the time you're putting in, or the effort, or the change you're trying to create, I'm telling you, over time that'll have an impact, and it's just good for your disposition. Bad day after bad day wears on anyone. No one wants that. It's good to have good things to be able to focus on, to keep your mind right, to keep your focus, and to make good things happen.
For one, I feel you're making us all look bad for getting a just because card. For your girl, that's good. You're going to be a trendsetter with that. Hopefully my girlfriend's not listening.
And here's the beautiful thing. You're one thing tomorrow.
Yeah, I get why.
You go and do it. It's the one thing I have learned more than anything, because I was always the guy who had to do the big thing, like Valentine's Day. I had to blow it up. Her birthday, it had to be big. Yeah. And when I realized it's the stuff when you do it for no reason at all has the most impact. It's the same if you believe in being altruistic and giving to people. I remember right around Christmas time, there was all homeless people out in the areas, on the street, and there are all these people giving money, and it was great to see, because I'm a huge believer. Whenever I see one on a street corner, I always have to give them money, and I'm I want people to go when they're normally going around to give. It doesn't have to be money, but it could be time or whatever, just because. When you get to that point where you want to be better, you want to do something nice just because, I think you're in the right headspace of where you want to be. And it took me forever to figure that out.
Yeah.
I mean, I never did that. And, I literally, it was just as matter, I say, listen to the people, know your audience. This is my wife. She's like, you don't have to do this gigantic thing. You don't have to take me out to an expensive dinner. Just buy me a card, buy me flowers. And I just know I put it in my calendar because my brain won't remember. I put it on random dates just to go ahead and get her something because it's that simple and it makes a way bigger difference.
Yeah, that awareness you talk about, like you said, when you realize that to want to do better, want to do good, like the Buddhists would say, that's like your moment of awakening, and then the rest of your life. From that point on, there's no reverting back before that, and the rest you're on your path of enlightenment. And I feel it's very important for everyone. I think we all reach that at one space or another, one time or another. But I think that's an important part of progression as well, being selfless, and then finding tolerance too in others. Seeing those people and wanting to do things for good without having the ulterior motives behind them. I think that's really important.
Right.
But yeah, I had a question about what you mentioned earlier, the getting started guide. You're at on. Is it on Born Fitness?
It's on Born Fitness.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there any sense of, for the person, the consumer going on, the average person doing that, is there an interaction or an accountability part of that? To where, because I feel with my clients, a lot of it comes down to, and a lot of people who maybe struggle with staying on that path, is maybe getting somebody saying, hey, are you doing this? Or maybe an email, hey, did you do what you said you're going to do? Is there any part of that in the Getting Started guide? Or
There's much more direct accountability in my online coaching where every client is assigned 2 coaches, so we're always checking in, we're always there. But the Getting Started guide is the way it was set up because there's some artificial intelligence, if you will, in terms of figuring out. So we created more than 200 pages of information that goes out, but knowing, as you said, that people need checkups, an email goes out every 3 to 4 days to go in and check in and build on the last lesson. So it looks at almost like a system of accountability and learning to be like, hey, it's a reminder of, are you keeping up with the last lesson that we had, and here's a new one to build on it. Because I never want the lapse to go for too long. I thought about different ways to go ahead and do this, and someone could download their Getting Started guide, and I just give them everything at once. And to me, there's 2 problems with that. One, if I'm trying to help as many people as possible, obviously this variation is not a one-on-one coaching. Everyone who comes to the site, they can't interact with me. But what I can do is I can give you my knowledge, my information, and the sequential progression of how I would teach certain things, such as fat loss diet or muscle gain workouts, or whatever it might be that they select as their goal. So I didn't want to give it all at once because you would read all of that and it'd be like, where do I even start? That focus that I talk about, that one thing, it would be too much. And then also, by splitting all of that up into an email every few days spread out over several weeks, it does have the accountability that even though it's not me directly emailing you, you are getting the information that you requested, and it's a follow-up, and if it slipped your mind or life happened and something got in the way, it's a reminder, hey, get back on the horse, let's keep this going. And the way that it's built, I'm not having someone try to do everything all at once. It's a progression. I'm building on skills because a lot of times people get a little too lofty with goals. I love people who set big goals, but the big goals should kind of be the end prize. You got to accomplish those little goals. It's those process goals rather than end goals. A lot of people focus on, I want to lose 50 pounds. Well, if you want to lose 50 pounds, you should start with the steps that will get you there. Step number 1, it's can you get to the gym 3 days a week? Or can you eat vegetables once per day? If you build up on the process, you just end up with the end goal. I used to teach in, college courses, and the analogy I always made was, students are like, I want to get an A. And I'm like, stop worrying about getting an A and start worrying about studying the material, understanding the material, allowing it to absorb, because then if you know the material back and forth, it doesn't matter what test I give you, you're going to do well on it. It's the same approach with changing your body. If you know what you have to do for your body to change, and you can practice that consistently, you're going to see change. They've done studies where they've compared one diet to another, 4 diets across the way, from Mediterranean, low carb, high carb, and the biggest variable of predicting success or not isn't the type of diet you're on, it's the consistency. Lots of diets work, but it's all about who's able to pick a diet that they can stay consistent with long enough.
Yeah, I feel everyone, especially the person who's flirting with the idea of getting healthy, getting on track, it can be frustrating when they don't have like a clear lane, like a clear path. Here's the diet you need. Here's the workout you need. Do this, and you'll get healthy. And that's just not the case. And I think that sometimes could hold people back. That's where frustration. And on the website, you mentioned you had your background psychology. So when you're having your goal setting, people writing their goals down, are you using any type of, so when they say they want to lose, we're in Australia, kilos. This took me a while to, so they want to lose 10 kilos.
Right, very familiar.
Are you doing anything like, so you want to lose 10 kilos, do you see how are you doing anything on your website, like how do you feel when you lose the 10 kilos? Like, are you intertwining like the psychology aspect of like the feeling approach rather than just the wanting?
I think I focus, so each individual is different. Online coaching literally it's nothing templated. It's myself and then one of my assistant coaches working with each client. We have limited space, so because I really want people to work with a live human and go through the process. And I think the most important thing in fitness for any coach out there is meet your client where they are. It's something that is so simple but so often forgotten that, I can bring a lot of psychological stuff, but if that's a message that just isn't going to resonate with the client, I'm not going to go that route. So some people definitely need that process of like, you can just tell where they're at through several assessments, through talking with them, through phone calls, of getting a feeling of what they want to achieve and what their mindset is, where their struggle is. Some people struggles with accountability. Some people struggles with psychology. Some people struggle is that, they don't need, the focus isn't going to be the diet and nutrition plans. The focus is, like you said, going to be the psychology of, they're pushing towards a goal because of some expectation of how it will make them feel, when in reality, a lot of times those feelings are a reflection of a lack of control in other areas in their life. And that lack of control might be with their diet, or it might be with a relationship in their life. And sometimes, I do get to that recognition point that, the help they want isn't necessarily help that I can provide. My job isn't to just take people's money. My job is to help people. And if I'm not the best person to help someone, I'm going to give them my take on something one way or another, because if I'm not helping you, it's not worth your time or mine. So there is, without a doubt, elements. A lot of times it's people learning to see the success, because people want results immediately. And in the same way that, you didn't put 50 pounds on your body overnight, you're not going to lose it overnight. It takes time and process. There are a lot of things I could do to get people to lose weight really quickly, but you're going to gain it back quickly. And it's not, my goal isn't to make you dependent on me. My goal is that the moment you walk away and no longer work with me, you know exactly what you need to do for your body, what works, what doesn't, because I want to put people in control of their bodies. That takes time. Everyone who works with me, you sign up with online coaching, the first month is risk-free, but it's a 3-month commitment, because I want people who are committed, but I want people who realize there's no short-term fix for this. I don't do short-term fixes. I do people who, I want to put you in control, so when you stop working with me, you're good to go. I don't want you to be my client again. If you want to come back, that's great. I say, Born Fitness is a family. This is a family. I love these people. I work with them. I can list them off by name and by location, by what they do. But the goal is to give people that power, that control over their own body, so they can understand. I mean, they don't have to be a fitness professional to make their own workouts or go to that point, but they should at least understand, when they're reading all the other information on the internet or getting other information, how to filter out what is good for them and what's just going to confuse them.
Yeah. Adam, were you coaching clients prior to leaving Livestrong?
Did I have coaching clients prior to leaving them? Yeah, I've been doing online coaching for nearly 10 years.
Yeah, you guys are.
Years. Yeah, I've been doing online coaching for a while. I did it back when I was in men's health. It was a way that, eventually I got to the point where I couldn't coach people in person anymore. And it was something that I always missed, and I felt that dealing with real people is so relevant to writing good content, because the moment I think that I have it figured out is the moment that I clearly don't.
Yeah.
Everything that I write, everything that I create, the goal is to solve problems that are relevant here and now. So by dealing with clients still, it allows me to hear the problems, hear the frustrations, and use that to test out different theories or write content that are based on my real life interactions with clients that will hopefully help more people. Because like I said, not everyone can afford certain things, and not everyone decides to pay for certain things. But if one person has a certain problem, or 5 people in coaching have a certain problem, I can bet that a lot more people are going to have it. So I might not be able to give them the catered approach of what will work perfectly for your body, but I can address that issue in a broader sense that hopefully you can read about and become informed and make changes that will help you out.
Yeah. Just to your book, Engineering the Alpha, like what people might not realize is obviously you're a New York Times best-selling author, which we've got it right here.
Well,
So-
book plug.
A little bit of a book plug, but what I was going to touch on was I've followed you for a while, so I know that you've had books before that weren't as successful as this one. How satisfying was it when you did get that recognition of being in that New York Times best-selling list?
It was definitely satisfying. I think as a writer, there are few like concrete goals that I had. You know, for a while early on, it was always just really cool to see my name in print. And after a while, you know, it always had a nice feeling, but over time it can become somewhat diluted. You know, as I go on, I do a lot more business writing now, and an awesome moment for me is my younger brother Jordan works with me, and we just co-authored an article that'll be in Entrepreneur magazine, and that was awesome. It was very cool to see my younger brother's name. It was Adam and Jordan Bornstein. It was so awesome. I hadn't had that feeling in so long that I love it, and I know what it meant to him. So it was incredibly cool. The New York Times bestseller is just, it's good to know when you write stuff, you want people to read it. And it doesn't matter if it's 5 people reading it or 50,000 people reading it, you just hope to change some people. And all that meant is we were just able to reach a lot of people. So it was very satisfying from that perspective. And, if anything, it just kind of made, that person I am, it makes me hungry. We peaked out at number 4 on New York Times bestseller list. That just means I've still got 3 more spots to hit number 1.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Me and Johnny said that the other day because we peaked at 5 on the iTunes charts.
In Australia, and I was like, dude, because my next question to you was after the book, after you peaked at and he asked how it felt. I was kind of gonna. It's kind of a bizarre thing because you're like, it's never good enough. You always want.
Like, it was good to be recognised, but not. It doesn't seem full. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I just think that being complacent or just having the mindset of it is good enough. I just think that's the wrong mindset to have in anything. I think that like you said, it makes you hungrier. I think finding that and tuning into that is like the key to anyone's success, and however you measure success, just following that. But
yeah, I'll give you an interesting spin on that though, because I think there's a difference between being satisfied and being hungry. And I think part of the flip side is, and this is like the entrepreneur's dilemma, is that nothing is ever good enough. So you get to that point, like, when is enough enough? And we don't take the time to sit back and appreciate what we do enough because we're hungry. I'm a hustler. I love I could work 24 hours to the bone. And I think the best thing my wife has ever done for me is forced me at times to slow down. And some people were like, oh, why is she forcing you to slow down? I was like, it's the best thing in the world because I appreciate everything more. It's a movie that probably not a lot of guys would ever mention, but there's a movie called About Time. It's a total chick flick. And but it's about this guy who literally can go back in time at any point. And like there's like a bigger picture lesson. I won't give away the movie for anyone who decides to watch it. But the whole idea is, by going back in time, it would give him a chance, if he wanted, to actually appreciate the small things, appreciate the successes, appreciate the people around you, and the little things that in the hustle and bustle you oftentimes miss. Mm-hmm. When I'm so go, go, go all the time, got to get number 1, got to do it, you don't realize that the blood, sweat, tears, effort that you put into something, even if you're never able to replicate it, even if you're never able to rise above that, it doesn't make all the effort that you put into it worthless. Because the best part of anything is the journey. The best part of anything is living. And if you only make the end goal, you could find yourself in a situation where you're never satisfied, where you're never happy. So it's good to stay hungry because it keeps you active. It keeps you living. Things that aren't living are dying. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean that when you're not pushing towards something, you shouldn't appreciate everything you do. You guys hit number 5. You should be fucking stoked about that and embrace it and love it. And if you never get higher than that, you should know that all the effort that you guys put in and everything that went into that moment and that moment forward was totally worth it as long as you're enjoying the process. So it's cliche, but the stop and smell the roses thing I think is so important because as an entrepreneur, you are always hungry. But if you're always hungry, it doesn't mean that you're fed. And you should be fed. You should be satisfied by the work you're doing, regardless if you hit that, whatever that main goal is, because at the end of the day, you want to be happy. Yeah. So put yourself in a position to be happy rather than setting yourself up to feel miserable. And I do think it's drawing that very, very fine line of, like, you don't want to get complacent. I definitely agree complacency is very dangerous, but appreciation of your work and just slowing down sometimes to take things in, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I definitely struggle with that one, and so does this
It's
guy.
tough. It's the entrepreneur's dilemma. I get it. I've been there,
Big
and
time,
I
man.
fall victim to it, and that's why I say surround yourself with people. It's the people around you oftentimes that never get the credit but make the biggest difference. The people in my life, my closest friend, my wife, now my baby, man. I mean,
I love
I have never found anything that makes me want to.
I love the
step away
photo
from
of
work.
you with holding your baby for the first time you put up on your IG page, man.
I broke down in tears. It was the single. I was just like overwhelming emotion where it's just like I just wanted to stop time because
Yeah,
you know
you were
I
so
know,
vulnerable.
I'm gonna blink and it's like the guy's gonna be an adult and he's gonna be way cooler than me and probably not want to talk to whatever. And it's just like I think sometimes just you're living in that moment and then getting back to that hustle, but appreciating it and soaking it up. It makes you better at what you do because it makes you happier. It really does.
Could you talk about what you said? You mentioned about the people around you. We like talking a lot about to our audience about the importance having a positive circle of influence and actually having a healthy circle of influence around, like the importance of the people around you in terms of finding that success or finding that happiness. How important has that been for you?
It's invaluable. I think that the people that know you best can challenge you, can question you, can guide you in the right way. I mean, I tell everyone that, to me, life is about two things. It's about the people you meet, the experiences you have. That's it. That's it. So I want to meet lots of incredible people, and I want to have lots of incredible experiences, and I think that'll be a really rich life for me, because those are the things that I value. And like I said, you can sometimes be your own worst enemy, and even when you're not being your worst enemy, being able to share in those things, it's special. Like being able, like successes are way better when you can share it with someone else, and dealing with failures or frustrations are a lot easier when you got buddies you can go out and are just willing to have a drink with, or someone who's willing to cry with you, or someone who's willing to reach out their hand and pick you up. I think our ego is so protective that sometimes we get this mindset, I have to do everything on my own, but there's a reason why they say that we should stand on the shoulders of giants. Find the giants in your life. Again, they might not be the ones who get the most credit, but the ones that you know that are with you. I think the ride or die people are important. I always say that my wife is my ride or die lady, because she was there when she met me. I was broke as a joke. A lot of people could easily question what I would do, and she loved me for me. Was always there for me, and it's a beautiful thing to have. And the closest friends I have in my life, they've been there through the ups and the downs and some very, very rough patches in life, and they're not there just to celebrate in the glory parts. They're there because they want to be there, and I think it's a good feeling. Again, like you just when you step back and you look at yourself at the end of the day in the mirror, you want to be able to ask yourself if you're happy with the life you're living, if you're happy with what you're doing, if you're happy with the people you're surrounding yourself with. All three of those things, I think, are really important. And when you can feel good about the people that are around you, it just makes those other two things and everything else, makes it a little bit better.
Yeah. To put things in perspective, like you've been named in the top 500 most influential CEOs. You beat Vince McMahon out. It must feel really good that you're in that list and people really just regard you as someone to look up to, and obviously you bring a lot to the table as well. How'd you feel when you found out about that?
Little mind blowing.
you picked at what, 109 was it?
What was that?
107, 109 you were in the list at?
Yeah, I mean, I was ahead of people that I have no business being at. I mean, I'll be honest. That's what I was saying. I mean, lists are lists. I tell people, like, if you've got a problem with the list, like, just don't worry about it. Those things are really superficial. And if not, I mean, it's one of those things that I think you take it as something that you can appreciate.
Yeah. But sometimes those most unexpected
things,
most unexpected things are sometimes things you kind of, really
Yeah.
just enjoy trying to get in.
I was going to turn the page a little bit because I see you got the Colorado Buffalo ball behind you. Were you when you were a kid? Was that your team?
It is always
Okay, because we're
I've been looking at that for the entire episode. I want to know what it both was.
We're the same age. I think you're 33. Without giving you. So when I was a
Yeah.
kid, I grew up in Ohio. I'm a huge Buckeye fan, but when I was a kid, Colorado had this like little cluster of years. I want to know, who's your favorite Buffalo of all time?
Wow. Favorite Buff of all time?
I got one that comes right to mind, and he was at his peak when I think we were like 10 or 11. He was the man.
So if you're going 10 or 11, you're probably going to go like Cordell Stewart or Rashawn Salam or
With Eric
Michael
Bieniemy?
Westbrook. Eric Bieniemy would have given you would have been 7, 8 years old.
You
So
got-
Eric Bieniemy was a senior in 1990. He led
Yeah,
the Buffs.
he-
Their only national championship
Yeah, man.
of all time, but they beat Notre Dame
Notre
10-9
Dame,
at Jordan
Rocket
Bowl.
Ishmael.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Tony
That's a punt return for a touchdown.
Yeah,
Call back.
man. Call him back, dude.
Call back. There was a clip. There was a massive clip. I have been a huge CU fan since I was about 4 or 5 years old. Both my parents went there. When it came time to apply to college, I applied to one college only. I'm like, I'm going to the University of
Boulder.
Colorado. I love Boulder. I love the University of Colorado, and it is. As I joke with my wife, it was University of Colorado. CU. That was my first love.
Yeah,
That was definitely my first love. So I've got in my office even like a Chauncey Billups jersey off to the side that's signed.
Yeah.
So Chauncey played at CU. He was their basketball player until they recently became better at basketball and decided to start becoming terrible at football.
I
But
know.
I can feel the comeback coming. Now the hope is always there.
The Michigan game. Do you remember Westbrook and Cord?
The Miracle of Michigan, 1994.
Oh,
of
my-
course, I was upstairs in my bedroom, literally crying because it's hilarious. I grew up in Chicago, so there's a lot of people who love Big
Notre
Ten
Dame.
Nation over there.
Yeah.
So Michigan was big, and as a good Jewish boy, I went to Hebrew school with the people who loved University of Michigan.
Yeah.
I bet all of my friends, like a little young hustler, like $5 or $10, that Colorado would beat Michigan. So I'm up crying
Most
because the next
famous
day
place.
is Sunday school.
Yeah.
I'm about to lose all my money and have to hang my head in shame. The Miracle of Michigan happens. The Hail Mary goes down. I'm running down stairs, like screaming and yelling. I'm calling up all my friends. I was just crying 5 minutes early like a little baby, but I'm like, you guys bring in your money tomorrow because
Dude, he threw that ball like 100 yards, man.
it was.
Oh my
It felt like that. It was 70 yards in the air. It was unbelievable. It was one of those plays you never forget.
Yeah,
It was
man.
great.
I had to ask you. Did you play? Did you play football?
Only in my dreams.
Okay.
Only in my dreams. Yeah.
Cool, man. We digress.
Adam, just with social media becoming so big, obviously we've got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. In terms of business, what have you found the most effective method for actually client interaction and sort of building your own sort of business and brand?
Great content.
Is there
That's
one
it.
specific site?
People always like no. I mean the beauty is like I think with social media you want to test different types of content and see if the platform you're on seems to resonate with people. Always test, always listen. But some people might be great on Snapchat or Instagram, other people on Twitter, other people on Facebook. Find the one or two that seems to work well for you and then press hard on that. I think everyone gets obsessed with like being on all platforms, and I even fall victim to that. But at the end of the day, it's great content that really answers the need of the audience on that platform. And I think all of the different social outlets, they serve a different purpose. So your job is almost to figure out, of those outlets, which one can you do best that gives the people what they want. And social media lets you know. I mean, Facebook can be kind of tough because they got their crazy algorithm that can like limit and restrict how many people you can reach. At the end of the day, if you're creating great stuff and people are giving you positive feedback, keep on pressing on that. And that's people try to hack the system rather than just focus on just make something that's really awesome and keep with it, because you might be creating something that's awesome and it's not working initially, but you gotta stick with that. It's a tough thing, but I think social media is valuable. A lot of people will dilute it because they don't see, say, direct sales. A lot of people will tell you like, oh, if you try and sell from social media, you can't necessarily make a lot of money. But that I don't think is underscoring the importance of social media, and that is relationship building 101. Social media isn't there necessarily to sell directly, although it can. It's there to build a relationship. Business is like dating. Usually, there's obviously exceptions. Some people are better than others where you don't get to ask someone out and get to go and sleep with them that night. That was never my situation. I was never that smooth.
Earmuffs.
I had for those who are Seinfeld fans, I had the Costanza, the by Menon effect. Like, by mere exposure, I would eventually win people over. And that's how I look at social media. If I'm genuine, if I create great content, if I build a relationship with you, when I look at my business, the most valuable metric to me is LTV. That's lifetime value. I don't care about the short term. So I care about, can I get a client, and if they're a client, how long do they stay with me? I talked about online coaching earlier. It's a 3-month minimum. Average client stays with me for 10 months.
Yeah.
That's really valuable because it means that they can bail after 3 months, but they spend almost more than 3x that staying with me, investing their time, investing their money because of the situation and the service that I provide. And a lot of that is set up by a relationship. I survey and question everyone when they enter the program, when they leave. And without fail, the people who stay the longest in coaching are the people that have the longest relationship with me before they ever sign up. So I give away a lot of free content, a lot of my time, because I care about building a relationship. And even if you never spend a cent with me, never work with my business, I care about how my brand is perceived. I care about the information that I provide as long as I'm being genuine, as long as I'm sticking to the pillars of my business. That's the big thing. I can't care about being liked by everyone. Some people are going to hate you. I've joked about this in my email list before, that there was literally at one point a website that was like AdamBornsteinIsAnAsshole.com. It was taken down for legal purposes. People didn't like me, and yeah, it kind of sucked. But the reason they didn't like me was because they didn't like that I fired a bunch of crappy writers who were creating bad content. You can't please everyone, but if you can look at yourself at the end of the day and be proud of what you're doing and know you're doing it for the right reasons, and know that hopefully you are helping a lot more people than you are hurting, then you're doing a good job.
I like the quote about, I think it was Les Brown. He was asked. He said, "I don't know the secret to success, but I know the secret to failure. And the secret to failure is wanting everybody to like you."
Yeah, if you try to please everyone, you please no one.
Yeah, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And let's talk about your training, because over the years I've seen you're a big lover of like rack deadlifts. You got to use it. Yeah. What's your PB on that one?
What's the heaviest I've ever done on a rack deadlift?
Personal best on that one.
575 pounds. Not that I remember it like that.
Is there a reason why you like the rack pull? Like, is it something that's translated into something else, like other lifts, or?
It is transferable pretty much to everything, but a lot of it has to do with back, hip issues that I don't always pull from the floor. I pull from the floor, but there are some limitations there. So, especially when testing out max strength, sometimes I just will limit range of motion, knowing what works for my body. I love deadlifts from the floor, but I think that sometimes reducing the deficit, so shortening up the range of motion, can help you get past some of those sticking points. A lot of times when people do certain lifts, they focus on just doing one variation of the lift, not realizing where they become weak. So for me, for a while, grip strength is one that is very underrated. That if you've never picked up a certain weight, at some point there might be a lot of breaks. It could be in your hamstrings, it could be in your core. You could have weaknesses that cause leaks that make it difficult for you to lift that weight. For me, a lot of it was just like I didn't have enough grip strength to actually pick up more weight off the floor. And obviously, when you drop that bar to the floor opposed to off the pins, it's difficult to achieve. So if you kind of get those submaximal loads and load up a lot more, you go and do 575 off the rack. It's a lot easier if you want to say go and try and pull 400 from the floor.
Yeah.
So I asked John this about a week ago. In regard, you guys are you definitely are pioneers of the fitness industry in regards to what you've done online coaching. Now you go online and you see a kid with a Cert 3 and 4 with a Gmail address, and he's an online coach and he's selling, etc. But my question is, I guess, if there's one thing that you look at the fitness industry, where it was, where it is, and where it's going, is there one thing that you would change?
One thing that I would change about what I did?
No, about where the industry itself as a whole is going.
I don't think I have the power to change what everyone else is doing. I have the ability to focus on what I'm doing and hope that others will go, fall in line. So for me, it's about creating great content. It's about making the focus on helping people. It's about realizing you can't help everyone. Some coaches out there try to say that they're a specialist in everything. I mean, the beautiful thing that I would say in this industry is to realize that there's more than enough bread for all of us. I think a lot of us look at the competition, and it's like we infight so much. The fitness industry is a very, very catty industry, and people get so freaking pissed off. And at the end of the day, like, if someone's actually doing damage and putting out bad information, you can call them out and like have a debate with them. But our job shouldn't be to try and convince other people that what they're doing is wrong. Our job should be to try and put out the information that we believe is right, put out the information that we believe can help people. I wish there was just a lot less infighting and worrying about what other people are doing and focus more on what you're doing. And again, it gets back to that whole idea of like, we usually argue about the minutia. It's like that 10% that like someone's arguing of like, oh, you shouldn't have gluten or you shouldn't have carbs or, you know, whatever that, you know, the special twist on a diet or on training might be. But the reality is, I mean, most of the main tenets are the same across the board, and everyone needs help, and everyone's looking for something different. Some people might respond really well to volume training or frequency training or heavy light strength training or cardio or whatever it might be. Focus on what you do best and apply that to people, because we are in an industry where the demand is never going to run out. People at different points in their life will always want to be fit, improve their health, move better, eat better, whatever it might be. So stop worrying about the competition and more worry about the service that you provide. And if you don't like what someone's doing, just don't get caught up in being negative. That doesn't help you at all. Usually just ends up making you look bad.
Yeah. Adam, just a question I had, just backtracking to your book a little bit. When you write a book with someone else, so just the two of you, do you split up the parts in the book, or do you work at each section? Do you work together? Like, if there's ever
it's always different. So I mean, I've done it many times, and I've done a lot of ghostwriting, which I can't technically talk about here. So the ghostwriting, I just hang out with people and I observe them and then write as them. So I learn how they speak, how they talk. I have to become them. I compare it to method acting.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it has to sound like them. If they read their own book, they're like, that sounds exactly like me, then I've done my job. With John, we literally sat there and just tandemly wrote it. We wrote it together. We'd read sections back and forth. I've done work with other authors where so we'll take certain parts of chapters, or I'll take what they write and then edit it and allow it to make more sense, allow it to be easier to kind of break down and understand. So I think within each co-writing opportunity, it's about kind of meeting people where they are and finding what's the best work scenario that will allow you to produce something that's awesome.
Okay. I'm sure along the way, though, that you must have disagreements and opinions on like the direction that you're taking the book, or different opinions and things like that. How'd you handle, that difference of opinion? Like, obviously there was only two of you, so there's no deciding vote or anything like that. Was it something you just discussed together and kind of worked your way through it, or
just talk it out?
Yeah.
Communication.
Transparency is always important. I think disagreements are a part of life, and sometimes people are a little too passive aggressive. My advice is just be open and honest, and you're not always going to get your way. It's not about being a child.
Yeah.
Talk it out and see what you get to.
Awesome, man. Just it's a fun question we always ask our guests. Adam Bornstein hosts a dinner party. 5 people. Well, just be careful, because John Romanelli, he actually picked 20 people to come to the party.
Yeah, you get
But
5.
you get 5. Dead or alive, excluding your family and friends. Who would you like to see at your dinner party?
Oh, wow. 5 people to sit.
You know what? Since we gave John 20, we'll give you 8, all right?
No, I mean, 5 is...
5 is the rule.
I'll do 5. I'll do 5. Wow, that is a tough one. All right, so I'm going to go with Mark Cuban, because I'm fascinated by him.
Yeah, Cuban.
I met Cuban once in my life, and it was one of the most interesting conversations I've ever had. Mike Tyson, just because I really want to talk to him. Michael Jordan, because I loved him growing up. You're gonna hear my Chicago backgrounds here. Walter Payton, sweetness.
Oh, I was rookie card.
My favorite athlete of all time. All hustle, baby.
I cried when he died, man. He was one of my favorites.
You are not alone,
Dude, the Hall of Fame speech with Jared.
Everyone hated his Hall of Fame speech. I loved it.
Oh,
Because
me too.
it showed you the psychology of what made him what he was.
Yeah, I love that too.
That's just what made him tick. Number 5. This is tough. Who is that 5th person? I mean, this is a pretty good spread of people right now.
Seen Chicago
Talent.
boys. Scottie Pippen might be a bit upset that
No, Scotty really didn't. After he left Chicago, I think he was an Alabama guy, maybe.
You gotta be careful. I don't want to piss off Scotty, because
Yeah, Scotty's a man.
He'll beat you down, apparently. I didn't say that. I love Scotty Pippen. Wow. I'm gonna leave the 5th one for the next time I'm back on here.
Awesome.
How about that?
Yeah,
Awesome.
no,
I don't want to dilute my list by not having someone that I've had with full conviction. This is the thing that I've learned in life. sometimes it's good to be patient.
All right.
And I'm going to be patient with this one and let you guys know. So I have to come back on a second time, and I will give you number 5 when I know that who gets to be at my combination table over there with Mark Cuban, Mike Tyson, Michael Jordan, and Walter Payton.
Yeah, man. All right. Finally, Adam, could you leave our listeners where they could find you online at?
2 places. You can either go to bornfitness.com or you can go to bornfitnessconsulting.com. So that's a consulting site where we talk about business and growing businesses and all the brands we work with. And then all the social media handles are all Born Fitness. So it's all the same, very easy. So Born Fitness on social media, bornfitness.com or bornfitnessconsulting.com.
Awesome, man.
Awesome. Adam, thanks so much for your time. We might be in America later this year, so you're in Denver. So if we stop in Denver, we'll have to have a couple of beers, man.
Yeah, man.
I expect to see you then.
All right, man.
Beers and rack pulls, baby.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah,
Sounds like
buddy.
a good old time.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Thanks a lot for your time, too, man.
Thank you so much,
Of course,
man.
you guys take
See
care.
you later.
All right. Speak to you soon.
Yep.
Adam Bornstein.
Yeah, I feel like, so I grew up with probably 20 Adams. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
so did I.
that type of guy. It just hit me actually, man. This is kudos to you because as we're talking to Adam and it just hit me, I was like, shit, man, you're from Australia. So the last couple of entrepreneurs we've had on are American, and like being able to those are 2 different cultures. So like being able to like adapt and being able to connect and that's a skill set, man. It just hit me as we were talking. I was like, dude, TK is a beast.
Yeah, the thing about America
Yeah.
is I've been there 6 times.
Okay, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's easy for
You've
me.
traveled it more than most of my,
Yeah.
probably more than I have.
I've seen pretty much the entire country, and I do understand how every state is different.
Yeah.
People speak different, but everyone's got that connecting thing that Americans they're a lot more patriotic
Yeah.
than Australians are, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like as soon as that national anthem gets sung, you know what I mean? Don't mess around.
Oh,
Let it be
man.
sung. Don't be silly. Don't be doing anything
Oh,
else but
yeah,
listening to
yeah.
the anthem. Do you
That's
know what I mean?
exactly right,
Do you know what I
man.
mean? You could be in jail. You could be convicted, anything.
But the world
don't-
stops.
Yeah, the world stops for that. You know what I mean? And I really do appreciate that sort of side of America that I really hope that Australia, in time, once it gets history, does also embrace as well.
Every time we talk to a fitness entrepreneur, a coach, and it's basically anyone with a attachment to the fitness industry, another stereotype of mine that I created just gets thrown to the wayside. So like Bornstein, very intelligent, educated. You could tell he reads. You could tell he listens. And now I'm interested to see what these guys look like when they train.
What about taking?
Are they big dudes?
Yeah, they are big guys.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like the fact of taking a chance. Like he could have just went through the rest of his life as editor of 2 of the biggest magazines in the world. Do you know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
sure he's getting paid good
At
money.
fairly a young age.
But
How
I'm
old was
sure-
he?
Yeah, well, he's 33, same age as us now. So
Yeah.
he's left a good. I think he's been gone for about 5 years from it now.
Yeah, so
late 20s, sort of in the prime of sort of his life in terms of like getting to that next level in life. And
Yeah.
getting some good money and things like that. So I'm sure that he would have been pretty comfortable out at both those magazines. To take a chance, like he said, he had no idea what he was doing that first 12 months.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I don't think any. I mean, I like what Rogan says about anyone knowing. Nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody has any idea on this earth of what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking with interpersonally with career. I'm talking with like why we're here, what we're supposed to do. So for that going forward, just move with like accept that with like open arms. Accept the unknowing and the ups and downs as part of the whole journey because no one has any idea what the hell's really going on. Because as we're looking outside these big windows, we see the sky, we see a nice cloudy day, but through those clouds is the universe. Like hippie shit aside, it's the space. We're in space, and we might seem like we're on like flat ground because it's cement, but we're in a rock. We're floating in space now. So now, if you take the photograph of Earth, which we're living on, which we're inhabitants of, it's just floating in the middle of space. So the idea that I didn't get this job or I'm gonna fail, I'm not gonna be able to do this. That is whole. I feel like if we could all just get that out of our head, stop thinking that way, and just realize that if there's something you want to do, just go do it.
Absolutely.
There's no way to fail.
On a bad day, what you got to realize is the next day the sun's going to come up again. And
Yeah.
You've got the opportunity to change
Yeah,
that bad day. Do you know what I mean? Like things happen. Sometimes things happen for a reason. Like there's different people have different philosophies on that sort of belief that things happen for a reason. Sometimes you place it yourself when things that you've done before has placed yourself to either succeed or fail. But at the same time, we've spoken about it a lot. Sometimes you need to embrace your failure and look at it as a positive to get to that next level.
I like the saying, darkness must pass, a new day will come, and when the sun shines, it will shine out even clearer. And it's so, I guess if you're not ready for that, timing is everything with where your journey is in life. Whether it's your fitness journey, your relationship journey, your spiritual journey, time is everything. So you really must be aware and open to taking in new things and taking advice from people. Adam said a couple different times, which we hear a lot from our friends, our guests we have on the show, each other, is that you have to be open to learn, you have to be able to ask questions, and you have to be willing to put your ego aside if you want to find your full potential.
Yeah, I think so as well.
If you want to scrape, I like looking at the full potential as a jar. You have to scrape the sides, you got to scrape the bottom, and it's hard, man.
Absolutely. But it's about learning from different people, being open to learn.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot, sometimes a lot of people aren't open to learn, and that's a huge thing.
Just doing this, like how vulnerable, how willing, like being a good listener, it's important for learning. And then, I mean,
putting yourself out there too.
Yeah.
Put yourself out there. Don't be scared that people might think that you...
I mean, I was a dick when I was 25. I was a dick when I was 27, 28.
What's your excuse
I
at
knew-
33?
I knew everything. I was a total ass. Oh, at 33, I wake up every day knowing I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
Chase the world, chase the world, chase
What
your
is-
dreams. And
I like what he said, what Adam said, where are we at? Find the giants. I wanted to ask him if that was his. He said, find the giants in your life. Lean on giants. That, man, that's an awesome way of putting it. The giants, could be your mom. They could be, a friend or a family member who aren't even with us anymore. But you just you attach to what they taught you. And I think, man, that's a great way of putting it.
yeah, I think so. as
Find
well.
the giants.
He's definitely... have to get him back on.
Different type of
I'd
dude.
love to pick his brain even more.
Yeah, once
I
again,
just
we get to learn.
It's one of those things that I think I've learned about 20 things from him today, just to kind of apply to my own business and
Know your
just
audience.
reinforce a couple of things that I've been doing as well. So it was good to actually get someone with expertise of Adam on here, and I'm sure a lot of our fitness professional colleagues, friends, and even people that we haven't met before, we get a lot of things like it was teaching people like how to interact with things like magazines, what they're looking for in magazines.
Huge.
I had no idea.
Yeah, huge. Great question too. When you were asking him about, because you've done it, I've done it. We both have reached out to magazines, basically knocking on doors, sent them content, and it's an awesome venue. What this is for us to learn as well. I like when he said about, we were talking about using psychology with clients, and it kind of resonated with me when he said, meet your client where they are. Not everyone's ready for be focused, mental development. You might get a person who just had their last drink a week ago.
Yeah.
And they've struggled with just even waking up in the morning because they used to wake up at 3 p.m. Now they're waking up at 10 a.m. Yeah. And they're there and they're just at the beginning. So they're not ready to hear, be the best version of yourself. They're like, screw that, man.
Yeah.
Get this out of my face.
Sometimes that's just too much too early.
Yeah,
but
very-
I'll work up to it. That's definitely
Meet your
something.
client where you are is very important.
Yeah, I think so as well. Anyway, big shout out to our sponsors, both Jackrabbit Slim's Barbershop and also the Organic Trainer.
Check the Organic Trainer out at www.theorganictrainer.com for all of your exercise, tea, and recovery needs. When you're proceeding to the checkout with all of your purchases, use keyword the Vision Board to receive 10% off. If you're in the Sydney, Australia area, you need a haircut, our second sponsor, Jackrabbit Slim's Barbershop, will do you good. Make sure you book an appointment up with Dre. He's in King's Cross, Potts Point. He'll leave you funky, fresh, feeling clean.
Awesome. Guys, if you haven't yet, just make sure you subscribe and also leave us a quick 5-star review on those iTunes.
Very quick 5-star
It'd be
review.
awesome. Just helps us grow, continue to move up those charts, and we'll just continue to bring awesome guests like Adam on. So, guys, stay tuned. We'll just keep bringing it. So, if you have any questions or you have any feedback, please send it to info@thevisionboardpodcast.com. Johnny, you have a great week.
You too, Tristan Cannell. Everyone else, rock and roll.
Peace. We'll see you soon.
Peace.
It makes me wanna creep.
I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul. I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul.
The Vision Board Podcast, hosted by Johnny Stofko and Tristan Cannell.